The quadratic formula by Drew Lines. So what is the quadratic formula? The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. And when you use this, you'll use it with probably a standard quadratic equation, such as ax squared plus bx plus c equals c. And you just plug in a, b, and c into this quadratic formula, matching its parts. So for our first example, we have 7x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. And we're going to want to head and plug this into the quadratic formula. And to make sure that we plug in everything correctly, let's just label everything. So we have a as 7, b as 3, and c as negative 4. After we plug that in, our new equation is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 7 times negative 4, all divided by 2 times 7. Once we have go ahead and simplify that, everything inside the square root has become 121, and the bottom has become 14. After that, we know that the square root of 121 is 11. So with our new equation, we have 3 plus or minus 11 divided by 14. Once we have that, negative 3 minus negative 11 is negative 14 divided by 14, and that will give us negative 1. And if we go ahead and add 11, we have negative 3 plus 11, and that will get us 8 divided by 14, which simplifies divided by 2 on the top and bottom, 4 over 7. So if we want to find the solutions before we even solve the thing, we could go ahead and look at the discrimination. So the discrimination is what's inside the square root. So if b squared minus 4a, 4 times a times c is greater than 0, we know that we'll have two solutions. So x will equal two different things. So if b squared minus 4 times a times c is equal to 0, we know that x will equal one thing, one solution. So unless if b squared minus 4 times a times c is less than 0, this means there will be no real solution. But there still can be an answer, and the way we do this is with imaginary numbers. And the way we do this, let's say we have, for example, negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 divided by 8. But like, you can't divide negative. You can't square root negative 4. So how do we do this? We use imaginary number, or I. And what I does, it just eliminates the negative and lets you continue solving. But you have to remember that I has to be there, because you can't just have no I and then just have a completely unrealistic answer or a unsolvable answer. So with this, we can now solve. So the square root of 4 is 2. Now we have negative 5 plus or minus 2i or I2. And with that, negative 5 plus 2, that gets us negative 3. Negative 3i divided by 8, that's one of the answers. And then we go ahead and have negative 5 minus 2. We have negative 7i divided by 8. And this is how you do the quadratic formula. And hopefully this helps you knowing how to go on forward with this.